Yeah, so I just wanted to have a bit of context to everything that's happened over the last 48 hours or so. So Friday, I was down in Colchester near Ipswich, funnily enough, and finished work. And due to having an extremely busy week ahead of me next week, I'd considered just staying around the area, maybe going down to London. But then all of a sudden I realised I was probably not going to get to do Everton's final game against Southampton in a couple of weeks' time, which also happens to be taking place at midday. Now, getting from Derby, where I live, all the way over to Everton for midday, and also capturing the game, capturing the fans going in and all that, it's going to be extremely time constrained. Obviously, getting there, a couple of hours to get there, etc. So I thought, you know what, despite the enormous journey I've got to do, it's got to get done because this opportunity won't come around again. So all the way up to Derby, had a nice rest there, and then in the morning got the train up to Liverpool via Sheffield. Sheffield, when I arrived in Sheffield, extremely busy Saturday morning. Sheffield's an interesting place. It's a bit of a crossroads, really, and you get people going all angles and directions, so it's quite an interesting place to go. When I arrived, there was a couple of people dressed up in banana skins. A couple of people dressed up as like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory people. A couple of people dressed up as jockeys. All these English lads going out to have obviously a good Saturday drinking. And one thing I will comment on as a complete negative, though, the Trans-Pennine Express is just a disgraceful service, I think, personally. I think that service probably about 4 times in the last 6 months, and it is absolutely abysmal. I would imagine the Indians hanging off the side of the train probably have a better service than that. Because I've picked up a cold from it as well, because basically every time I've been on there, I always find myself stood up with literally inches either side of me from someone else. Or squashed up against the window in the foyer area, on the entrance area, and that's been the case 4 times now. And you're going across all that lovely countryside, and the best you can do is kind of just look up at the ceiling because you just do that awkward thing where you just don't make eye contact with people. So yeah, to comment on that, it really is abysmal. They should because the train drivers are aware of it. They should consider adding a carriage onto the train or get a longer service or something. But anyway, got into Liverpool. Nice warm day it was, quite busy, and obviously you'll see in the video my walk began. I have to comment on these lefties that I came across. They were saving Liverpool Women's Hospital, and I say lefties, which is slightly unfair, but because it was basically one woman I interacted with, and she really wound me up because she came over and she was. She started going on about that women are given such an unbelievably hard time and like they're being persecuted, and I said, well, men also have a hard time. We're coming up to VE Day, which was mainly men that fought in that war. It's men that built all the roads, etc. And I just wasn't willing to let her just have it all her own way like we normally do. And we were on about. She said something about reproduction. I said, well, you need a man's seed, don't you? And she goes, oh, well, you don't need that. I was like, well. That the scientists that probably came up with that technology were probably men as well, and it takes a lot for me to be rude to somebody, but I just thought, you know what, fuck this, and I just stepped away and just completely ignored her and took a photo of the church in the street and just made it obvious I'm just not willing to engage with you anymore. I couldn't be doing with it after all the travelling I'd done to have someone stood there giving it all the victimhood narrative. It's really quite tiresome nowadays. Moving ahead, obviously. I was speaking to a father who was looking after his son who was busking near Liverpool Central Station, and I asked about the trains to Everton because I'd heard there was a train to get you close towards the Everton ground, Goodison Park. So yeah, just get on that one and then head on the train to Kirkdale. And I got in, started seeing a few people in blue shirts heading in, and I asked and said, yeah, get on the train to Kirkdale. However, Sandhills came, and I thought, I'm getting off at Sandhills because there was something about. I think there was other fans getting off, so I thought I'd just follow them. A few suspicious looks at me, obviously with my camera and all that. Probably because it's all in my head, and I've just got to get settled in. And it is quite a crazy thing to do, just go to all these random places with my camera. Areas of London, West York, everywhere. I go everywhere, doesn't matter. But yeah, as I got on the bus. We travelled across, and there's all sorts of dialects and accents on there. I think the people in front of me were from Yorkshire. People behind me are from Lancashire. It's very much not just people from Everton and Liverpool solely that support the team. As we're going across, I got quite a funny shot of the Abbey pub from the area, from the bus as it was moving. I just quickly snapped my camera. I was taking a few photos as we were driving around. It's a bit like a tourist bus, that you see going around the city. And yeah, we pulled up just down from the Abbey pub, and obviously went down to Stanley Park and got settled in. Took a photo of the Abbey pub, and then moved on down to the ground, and then got amongst it. I have to say as well, right from the off, everyone was quite friendly and welcoming, and there's definitely an atmosphere of people know and to expect there's going to be a lot of photographers and YouTubers there, etc. And it was great to see that street next door on one side of the Everton ground, busy and bustling with blue shirts. And the Ipswich fans, I have to mention, having worked in Colchester, I'm very familiar with Ipswich, and I was there documenting their promotion parade last year. So it's quite funny. I'm really grateful I went up on the same day as Ipswich, because I've got something of a connection with Ipswich, and to have done the same journey more or less that they did is quite a good thing, as opposed to Southampton. I've not really got any ties with Southampton. But yeah, so one thing I will say as well, I like the terraced houses you get around the ground. I hear Goodison Park's going to stay up as well for the women's football. But some of the photos you can get in the area are really good on match days, because you've got people sat outside having a fag on the, outside their houses, on these terraced houses. And I like them old school sort of gritty street photography moments where someone's perhaps glaring at you when they've got a cigarette in their mouth, or people are outside enjoying the sun in front of their houses, etc. Various fans obviously posing for the camera, because I picked a point on the corner where it says "Welcome to Goodison Park" by the toffee shop entrance, and people were posing willingly. I just had to stand and, as usual, pick out the right people who would look good. Some of them just happened to come straight into my lap, and we're happy to pose. Like I say, extremely welcoming atmosphere. I don't know what it'd be like on another day, but particularly with people knowing yesterday was the last. I don't know how many people picked up on this, but the last Saturday game that Everton will play. I mentioned that to quite a few people, and they went, "Oh, bloody hell, yeah!" Because they're all thinking about their final game against Southampton, but it's the final Saturday, 3 p.m, which is like the traditional kick-off time you'll see for the men's team at Goodison Park. So there was that, and went around the corner. By this time, the fans had gone in. People kept continuing coming in, and it's great. There was one moment where there was this family coming in, and I was actually taking a photo of something else, and then all of a sudden they did the old thumbs up, and as they were coming closer, and it's great photo. But the fans went in. I went into a tented area and sat down and happened to start chatting to this lady from. Do I disclose it? She's from one of the Isles, shall we say? Got the Isle of Man, Isle of Wight, so I kind of make sure I don't narrow it down too much. But yeah, we sat there chatting, and for about an hour or so, and really passed the time quite easily. And before I knew it, it wasn't long until the game was concluding. We'd heard the fans go off a couple of times, and it was 2-2. I think it finished on with Ipswich and Everton, and the fans started coming out. Slightly different atmosphere to when they're going in, which is always the case. But again, nobody bothered me. Scousers, particularly in that area, dead friendly, dead welcoming, and I can't thank you enough for your hospitality yesterday. But yeah, so that's it. That was kind of it. And then from there, it was back into the city. Walked all the way back into the city. Very quiet, has to be said, along the pavements going back in, but back in the city was heaving. There's again loads of different accents: Yorkshire, Manchester, Mancunian, all these different accents and dialects, because people are obviously coming in for the amazing Liverpool nightlife, which I could see kicking in. The Irish bars were obviously well amongst it, and fantastic, great to see. I was actually searching for a hotel because I come across a VE Day celebration that was due to take place probably about in an hour's time from when I'm recording this, about 1 o'clock, but couldn't find a hotel, so that was the end of it really. Had to get on a train and literally just scraped it in, getting back into Derby on the last train back from Sheffield, so I was quite lucky. Otherwise I would have missed it. I think I actually got to Liverpool Lime Street with 4 minutes to go until the train set off for Nottingham. Also, one thing I did really appreciate about the Evertonian fans is, they pinged me Derby County tattoo a couple of times. as did the Manchester United fans a couple of weeks ago. But they're like, so what are you doing here? You know, like, they're a bit confused, Derby County, what you're up here for. And it's like, well, this is what I do. And they're really surprised that I'd invested my own money, my own time to come all the way across the country to document their stadium as on their final match day, you know, on a Saturday. So it's quite nice to have people that kind of appreciate what I was doing and the effort that I put in. But yeah, so again, that's quite good. I've never really had that where people actually been quite surprised to put that much effort to come in for a team that's not necessarily mine as such. But that's it. That's what I do, and I wouldn't change it. Yeah, I think that's about it. I just thought I'd add some context and throw a few photos in there as well. I think the final thing I'll say is I wouldn't bother visiting Everton's new ground, because to me, when I saw it from a distance once or twice, so ugly. In my opinion, just a big grey, just a big grey soulless building, and I don't think it'll be quite as bad as West Ham's new ground. You know, is it the Olympic Stadium in Stratford, which is very convenient the way the train's going straight into it, but it is soulless. I'm sorry, I don't care what anyone says. It might look all fancy and that, but it's not. It hasn't got the same atmosphere. It's the same as Derby with baseball. The baseball ground. The baseball ground was much more of an atmosphere. It's in amongst the community, and then it got kind of corporatised and taken away to Pride Park, which still works well, still functions well. But I have to say, a lot of the Everton fans were extremely upbeat about it, as you'd expect, because how they are. They were, they're quite an optimistic bunch. They were all, fairly okay about it. It's like, well, it is what it is. That's what's going to happen, and there's no point being upset about it. Some of the fans I was speaking to as well were extremely interesting. Like some of the older fans, they've been going there for 60 odd years. Some of them 70 odd years. The really old ones, and all their memories, etc. So that's it really. Liverpool painted the town blue yesterday. So a month ago they painted the town green for St Paddy's Day. It's probably the best St Patrick's Day parade you can find in Britain. And yesterday they painted it blue, obviously with Everton, or particularly Everton. And then in a couple of weeks' time they'll be painting the town red for Liverpool's parade through the city, which I'm hoping to attend, work permitting. So that'll be really good. A really good collection of photo albums that I've made on Liverpool then. That's Ireland, the Irish Day done well. Everton, Goodison Park done well. And that'll probably be about it, unless there's any other big event. Maybe the Beatles weekend, or it'll probably conclude next year with the Grand National, which is still something I need to do. And that'll be Liverpool documented extremely well. It's a great city, great atmosphere. Yeah, I can't speak highly enough about it. So on that note, until next time, I'll call it a day there. Cheers.